Good morning, everyone. It's Trader Rob. Today is Tuesday, July 28th. Hope everybody's having a fantastic start to the morning. Kevin, good morning. Bala, good morning. J Loves, good morning. Morning, all. All right, let's get into the charts here. Had a signal this morning, and I took an L on it. This is cross trading to the micros. The NQ did hit TP right to the tick, but on the micros I was off by a tick. So I unfortunately did get stopped out there, but did end up taking a nice trade less yesterday evening, probably about an hour after the market opened. Took a nice short off of one of my bands that I had mapped out towards the afternoon. All right, let's get into the charts. Let's take a look and see what type of trade setups we can get from this morning. All right, we're going to start off on the NQ. Let's get rid of this guy. I don't need him here anymore. All right, let's shrink this up a bit. All right, we're going to start all the way from the top. We've got a previous weekly high that has not been tapped into at the 29,364. Previous value area high as well. So that's an area that's at the 29,364. You definitely want to look out for some liquidity there. Obviously, price action's got to come up pretty good ways to get up there. Talking about some unbalanced volumes. So these are all seller controlled, all weekly bands, all extremely tradable. We talked about these yesterday. These did not get tapped into yesterday. So first weekly band at the top is the 29,122 to the 29,036. Now, as we've got kind of my detailed scalping band sitting right at the base of this weekly band, here's an easy one, because this one you literally just take a limit order right straight from the bottom at the 29,036. You can have your stop placement. You know what? We'll just map it out so we don't leave any room for. So 4 to 5 points sitting right above the band. And on your risk to reward, you definitely want to be at about a 1 to 1.5. So sitting somewhere right around there is what this trade would look like on this particular band. Obviously, we'd have to get through this band below it first, but this would be the first trade setup all the way from the top to the bottom. Okay, and let me just adjust the. Let's adjust the quantities here. All right, there we go. So on a micro, risking about $200 here for a $300 profit. Again, these are going to be really prop friendly, really and these are now strictly what I'm trading. I am literally getting away from my discretionary style of trading and just going strictly to where my bands and my levels are. I honestly don't really know why I deviated these last 4 or 5 months, but I'm kind of getting back to what I know has made me profitable over the last 2 years, or I should say the previous year and a half. And I've already just making these simple changes over pretty short time period. The P&L has just looked completely different. So that's what this trade setup would look like. Now for the one below us, let's move this guy. Let's get him, you know, let's save him. Sorry, give me 1 second here. Manage. Let's save that. We'll override that. Yes. All right, so now I don't have to worry about my quantities anymore. All right, next band. And this one I believe is the closest weekly band to us. Yeah. No, it's not. I'm sorry. We've got this guy sitting still down here. But this one is a really nice one. The 28,986 down to the 28,913. This one's going to be, obviously all of these, I have these marked off on your chart. And again, we've got a detailed scalping area at the 28,938 to the 28,921. And again, this trade we went over yesterday, but we'll just do it one more time. Again, sitting about 4 or 5 points, sitting right above the band. It did not adjust my risk. I don't know why it didn't do that. Let's see what I need to do to make that work. 1 to 5, okay. 1 to 1.5. Oops, why can't I? Should save this. Oh, 5 count is default. Oh, I see what the problem is. All right, so let's change this guy. That's the default. Well, how do I change that? Okay, weekly band default. Sweet. All right, got it. All right, sorry. Now we're cooking. All right, so on this band, this is what this band would currently look like. Let's move him off a little bit. So again, as we discussed yesterday, this would be your option 1 on this trade, on this weekly band. So let's just type in here, trade option 1. And this option is, of course, going to encompass the entire weekly band. Okay, so at least on this particular setup here, again, limit order at the 28,913 to go short. Stop loss sitting about 4 or 5 points above the 28,986, so around the 2903 or 02. And then risk to reward 1 to 1.5 on these trades. So this, again, is your most conservative trading approach. Now, this band has a small little sliver right here that encompasses the weekly band, okay? And then you've got this little detailed area here for scalping. Now, if this band, again, was sitting somewhere in the middle, this secondary option is definitely going to be a really nice play for you guys. And it still could be done here because we still have a small bit of room. And the reason why I'm saying this is that option number 2 is going to look something like this, where 1, if you don't want to have such a big drawdown, which is not a huge drawdown on the NQ. So I'm just saying that in relative sake. You could always take your limit order directly from this band. Now your stop's going to be sitting 4 or 5 points above this smaller detailed area at the 28,938. And on this trade, you want to be at a absolute minimum 1 to 2. Quite frankly, you should technically be at a 1 to 4. Okay, but a 1 to 2 is going to be your most conservative, very prop friendly. Doesn't matter if you have intraday or end of day trailing drawdown. This is going to be extremely prop friendly for you. About $51. You could probably even lower this a little bit. I don't know why my blue sky is having such an issue. Okay, this is about. Yeah, that's a little bit high right here, so we can even bring this guy down. Only need about 4 or 5 points just for a small wick. Sometimes it wicks right at the top, right exactly at the band, and then drops. That way we eliminate that from our scenario. So again, 1 to 2. That's what option number 2 would look like on this trade. So we'll talk about this one here. Okay, now you've got option 1, option 2. Now you've got a third option, which is how I would trade this particular setup. And it's a combination. It's a combination of both of these options. Okay, meaning you've got a resting limit order. Let's just say whatever your starting position is going to be, 1 micro, 2 micros, whatever it is, however you built in, that's going to be on the individual trader. Whatever your initial position size is going to be. Now, granted, you should know that you've got a secondary entry option here as well. So you might want to go on a little bit smaller of a position size for your initial. But at least this way, with a resting limit order right here, you don't miss the move that taps and goes without tapping into your detailed band. Okay, so you're still able to capture a really good trade, and you don't miss out on that trade. Limit order here. The secondary, you can either put a limit order on the secondary detailed area, so that now you've kind of averaged out your position somewhere right around here. Granted, this is so close to this beginning limit order that you don't really get a huge averaging in position. We're not adding to losers or anything like that. This is our trade plan. This is the actual areas that we've identified, the bigger and the smaller, on areas that I know we're going to see a reaction to. So we're just trying to capture as much as we can, give us as much opportunity as we possibly can off of these trades. Now, if you have an entry confirmation, so in my instance, it would be a footprint flip where I get a red footprint with positive delta. That's all I'm looking for an entry confirmation. I could take a short from the entry confirmation. I could take a short from a limit order, or I could take a short from whatever type of candlestick rejection that you trade, or whatever confirmation you have as part of your trading strategy. But again, I'm trying to talk about the easiest way: limit order, stop loss 3 or 4 points above here, and then you can close this trade out at the 1 to 2, or you could close both positions out right over here, which in that scenario is probably going to give you closer to a 1 to 5, 1 to 6 risk to reward on the combined positions. Okay, because this is 1 to 1.5. This one, if you were to drop this down all the way down to the same entry, you're looking at a 1 to 5, almost a 1 to 6. Okay, so that would be option number 3, which would be a combination of both. And again, that's how I would trade this particular signal right here. We've got our prior day high sitting at the 28,764. As this is the Tuesday, these are going to be a lot more important for us over a Monday current or previous day open or previous day close. Definitely a lot more. Now here, again, we don't have, it's not a weekly band. This is just an area of seller unbalanced volume. Okay. So good amount of volume sitting here from sellers. Now on these that are not in a weekly band, these are strictly 1-to-1. So they're very simple 1-to-1 type of trades for me. So this would be 1-to-1 risk to reward. Okay, so again, very simple. On this scenario here, we're going to be looking for a short. Stop loss goes a few points above your band, 50 bucks of risk, $50 of profit. 1-to-1, easy peasy. And again, that one is sitting at the 28,613 to the 28,592. We'll move on. We're getting closer to where price action is currently sitting at. All right, now we've got ourselves another seller weekly band, very strong levels. It's going to be very difficult for the market to, to blow through here. Again, headline news, high impact, non-scheduled news that might come out, something with Iran. Of course, volume escapes during those periods of high volatility, and I am a purely volume-based trader, so I'm banking on all of these bands to always work because of the unbalanced volume that is currently sitting in these bands. Okay, so here's a good example of how option number 3 can work out nicely for you in this particular situation. So here again, very simple. We're just going to go through all of the examples so that nobody's left wondering what it is that we're doing here. Again, 1 to 1.5 risk to reward, which is going to be sitting right about there. That's your option 1 on this trade. Option number 2 is getting in a little bit more of a detailed area, which is sitting right up here. Right there. Again, sitting right above the band. 1 to 2, which is going to be right there. So that would be option 1, option 2 on this trade. Or again, you can have a combined option number 3, 1 micro here, 1 micro here. You got to take a look at the risk. Make sure that the risk amounts that you're looking at on trading these fits within your trading style or your portfolio. If it doesn't, then eliminate option number 2. Okay, if you're trying to stay within $150 to $200 risk per trade, depending on where you're sitting at on your eval or your funded account or your live cash account, then you can get rid of option 2 and just go after option 1. But if the combined amount is within your daily risk, then you could do an option 3, which would be a combination of both of these levels together. And again, now your position does average out a little bit better into the band, and you can work this to the downside. So 3 different trading options here on the NQ, and we'll get to, this is the last one. This is the one that we already took this morning. So let me just get rid of this guy. And then lastly, let me just take a look and see if there's any updates that I need to make here really quick. So give me 1 second, be right back. Okay, I had a really good question this morning. I don't think he's in the chat just yet, but got a really good question. If you guys just want to answer this in the chat, if we take a look at price action, just let's look at the overnight, at kind of the overnight move. Pretty easy to tell that we're in a downtrend correctly. Obviously we did have this kind of higher high that was put in right here, but in general, we're in a pretty easy downtrend to kind of see. On the way down, does this look like a balanced market to you, or does this look like an unbalanced market to you? I'll give you guys a minute here to come up with your answer, and just and again, don't be shy. I want this to be a two-way communication. But tell me your thoughts. Tell me your thoughts if you think this is a balanced market or unbalanced. Okay, so Nordic says it's unbalanced. Any other takers? Any other ideas that they might have? Give you guys about another 20 seconds. Bob says balanced. Bob is in Signal Group. Seems balanced. Jay loves. Okay, so for those that answer, and this is how I view the market. Okay, this is how I view the market. Could be different than what your perspective is. So take this for what it's worth. I view this as a completely balanced market. Okay, And the reason why I say that is that if you look at every single pullback or every single downwards move that we've had, have we really left any area of volume here that really hasn't been tapped right back into? So like this would be unbalanced, we tapped into it. This would be unbalanced, meaning that we have an impulsive move to the downside, break of structure, but we come right back and balance it out. We have another impulsive move to the downside, another break of structure, but what do? We come right back, we balance this out. Another impulsive move to the downside, another break of structure. What do? We come right back and we balance this out. Another move to the downside, bigger move to the downside. Okay, what do? We come right back, balance everything out. Another smaller move. This did not create a lower low. This did not create a break of structure. So I put very little weight into this leg here. But what do? We just come right back, balance out all of this area once again. What do here again? We come right back down. We do break some structure right here. What do? We come right back. We balance this out. So this entire overnight session to me has been extremely balanced out. Now you can say, Rob, why don't you have any shaded boxes or areas, you know, developing weekly bands or any areas for us to short from in this area here? I don't, because it's all been balanced out. Again, I am a purely volume-based trader, and that's what I look for. So if we come back to kind of our levels here of this morning, this band here was given at about 5 o'clock in the morning this morning, so about 2.5 hours ago, and that was the only band that I had seen that hadn't been balanced out. But I had to go to price action prior to yesterday, during the New York session, to find this area of unbalanced volume, and it held. I mean, it wasn't gorgeous. I didn't provide a signal here. I didn't provide a trading opportunity from here, while minusing out the small scalp that we were looking at this morning. But this was the only area. And if we kind of go to the top side, look at this void. You know, you got a pretty big void right here of really nothing that's really unbalanced here. Nothing really good shorting opportunity. That's why if you go to my Discord in the mornings, it was one of the things that I mentioned in Discord is, if we take a look at the bands, 728 morning scalping bands and levels. So here are your bands on the ES, NQ and gold. Shit, I think I put the wrong ES one. I took a prior screenshot. Oh no, this one's actually still correct. I just forgot to take out the circle. What do I say? 728 morning scalping bands and levels. Market's currently balanced well. So I've already mentioned that the market here is extremely balanced out, at least in the way that I see it. So that's why this is a developing strategy. It's a developing, it's a kind of a living and breathing scenario here, where for me to create a band, one, it's going to be super much in real time. Okay, so these bands will come very quickly before I get the opportunity for it to come back down. But what we're looking for is obviously impulsive move, break of structure, find the base of your unbalanced volume, take your trade from there. Okay. And that's why these develop throughout the morning and throughout price action, high impact news, headline news. There's a bunch of different things that will create different types of movement in the market. But that's what I see. Now on the ES. Take a look. We'll start up here on the ES. We'll start all the way from the top. We don't need that one. Previous weekly high is sitting right up here at the 75.63 area. We've got also sitting up here is your value area high from last week. Now, guys, I talked about this one at length yesterday. Now, you could say, Rob, I see that you've got a band here, scalping band. It's about 4.5 points wide right here. So from here to here, it's about 4 points. Okay, real nice scalping opportunity. And again, you could say, yes, Rob, you can have your limit order here to go short, 1 to 1.5. Stop loss sitting right above your, right above the band. Well, we've got something a little bit different on this band, and this is why I think just going over these every day will help you guys, and will give you guys some different types of opportunities to trade throughout the morning, maybe take some stress out of the trading for you guys. So if we were just to go off of our regular strategy, why is that so high? Jeez. I think I got to do one for the ES and then one for the NQ, because this is going off of points for the NQ. It's okay. All right, so if we look at the way that we're been kind of taught to trade these, again, about a point above the band on the ES, 1 to 1.5 risk to reward, which is sitting right around there. That's what this trade would normally look like. Now, why am I going to say this is not how I would trade this particular band? Because on this particular band, we've got a few pieces of confluence sitting at our stop loss, or very near our stop loss. One, we've got our previous weekly high, which is going to obviously be a magnet for liquidity seekers, the market makers, whatever you want to call it. We might get a reaction here, but we might sweep this area right here. So on this particular band on the ES that's sitting from the 75.58 to the 75.63, the way that I personally would rather trade this is wait for this liquidity right here to get swept before entering into this trade. Meaning, I would look for a scenario where we tap, take this out, and then we show either through a 1 minute candle formation, whatever type of bearish signal that you get. In my scenario, again, it would be a footprint flip where I'm looking for a red footprint with green positive delta. I would probably be here on either the 4 range or the 12 range, and meaning one of these. So here's a perfect example of a flip. This is not an area of confluence for me, but this is the first thing that I saw on the map. You've got a red footprint, so a down footprint candle, positive delta. That is my entry confirmation. So if I had a signal here, a line here, or a band here, and I got this, I would ride the short on that. Okay, so if you don't have footprints, if you don't like footprints, if whatever a scenario is, whatever you feel comfortable with on, you get maybe a candle that looks something like this, that wicks the top, and you get a down candle right there. Great. You can get engulfing candle to the downside. Great. That could be your entry confirmation. Not going to tell you how to trade these as far as the confirmation. I'm just telling you what I would personally do in that scenario. So this would not be a scenario for a limit order. Okay. I'll take that one off. And let's proceed to the bottom. Prior day high. So we've got a prior day high, yesterday's high at the 75.24. That's one to have up on your chart. And then we'll finally get into some bands. So prior day open is sitting at the 74.90. We've got a weekly band, or I should say we've got a detailed scalping band here at the 74.96 to the 74.92. Okay, this would be a scenario of a limit order. And I would go 1 to 1 because I am not in a weekly band here. Okay. And this is really annoying that it's so big. Really annoying. I have to make a separate profit and loss tool for the ES because it's taking the NQ. So we go here. This is going to be 1 to 1. Okay, very easy trade on the NQ. You're looking at about 5 points of risk to make 5 points. Very nice trade. Very easy trade to limit order into. Okay, super easy on this band. Not much more discussion needs to happen on that one. Now, let's see where we're at in price action here. Sorry. Okay. I don't know where my... Oh, there it is. All right, now let's take a look at this secondary... This secondary band. Now here is a different scenario. Here we are in a weekly band. Okay, so here, same thing as the NQ. Option number 1 would be limit order at the bottom of this band, which the band is sitting at the 74.99. This band is going to be 1 to 1.5 risk to reward. So sitting right about there. That's what option 1 would look like here on the ES. Option 2 on the ES is we've got a detailed scalping area sitting right here. You know what? Let me let's delete that. Let's see if we can let's get fancy if we can. Can I copy this? I can't. Oh, look at that. Getting dangerous now here. Stop loss point above. And 1 to 2 risk to reward. Very simple. Very, very simple. I know it's a little hard to see where that secondary band is at, but it's at the 7504.75 would be your entry right there. And your stop loss would be 75.15, let's call it, 1 point above. And then you've got option number 1, which of course encumbers the entire weekly band. Option number 2, oh, I'm sorry. I was off there. This is going to go a point above this band. My apologies. That's what happens when you copy and paste. Try to get fancy. So option number 1, option number 2, and then option number 3, which is how I would trade this, is a combination of both of these. One limit order right here, right here, another limit order right there. Average your position out somewhere right here, and you ride that wave to the downside. And then we are currently at today's open 74.53. Prior day low is sitting below us at the 74.16, and previous weekly low is at the 74.11. I thought we were going to tap into that yesterday, but we did not. That is your ES and your NQ. I'll go over gold here for those gold traders out there. We've got a band sitting at the 4151.8 to the 4129.6. And this is all seller controlled, so we'd be looking from shorts from there. Buyer band is at the 4037.4 to the 4022.9. That's gold. All right, that's your roadmap here. What I am looking for as of right now for the NQ and the ES. If you're interested in trading with me in our signal group, we do have a live trading room. Provide signals. I think we're at about an 80. I think we've hit 6 out of 7 signals already this month. So there's a link for that in the description. I'll stay on here for about another minute or two. If anybody's got any questions, pop it in now, and I will do my best to answer it. Take a look really quickly at the NQ. So NQ did have a bit of unbalanced volume on this recent move. It's actually sitting right down here. But for me, how I like to trade this, most likely you are going to see a reaction when we get down here back to the upside at the 27,929. The only issue why I don't consider this to be a weekly band or a developing weekly band is because we did not break at least this structure right here. Okay. And currently on this move to the downside right here, they've already balanced out a good portion of volume on this leg to the upside. So the probability of this band holding the market back up is less than 50-50. We're probably talking about a 70-30 that it does not hold up this market right here. Now, if this would have been strictly a lot more impulsive candles where we get another candle here and another candle here, and when we would have broken this structure, then yes, this would be all left unbalanced. And this is where you're going to see when you come back down, the market will have a very quick time to get back to balance, back into balance. That's how I view it. That's how I provide my signals. That's how I provide the bands to you guys, the Sunday bands, the daily bands. Everything's based off of the same thing. And again, if you two different ways of learning how to create the bands for yourself. One is the simplest way is just go to your AVT. Figure it that I've taught the AVT many times. I can tell you 1,000,000,000% that every single band, every single signal that you get from me is strictly based off of the AVT. It's very simple. You go down to your 120 range, you're going to always have your base. Now this is a weekly, so it's even a little bit bigger than this one, but this is your unbalanced volume sitting right here. Okay. This is the only part of this area that I would personally say is a bit unbalanced. Now, the only issue with this trade is that as we move up, we see that we've got a lot of balancing out right here. So to get to a 1 to 1.5 on this type of a trade would be very difficult. Can I get maybe 25 points out of this? Yes. But to play a bigger trade off of the band, you know, because again, we haven't gone down to a smaller band like a signal, which my signals only have 7 to 8 points of risk. And so, you know, when you narrow down the AVT, meaning I talked about it yesterday, just divide by 2. If you're on the 120, the 240, the 5, what would the next one be? 240, 480. Just keep dividing into 2, and you're going to narrow this. You're going to narrow these bands down to a very scalpable area. And what invalidates them as you narrow them down, if you're not seeing the exact same, if you're not seeing this exact same thing right here, straight movement up, break of structure, If you're not seeing that on every single division in half, so in every single range, meaning this is the bigger, this is the smaller, go down to the 60. $60 would be sitting right around here. It's not going to show them, so I think the 120 was probably sitting somewhere like right around here. Won't show it because I'm not doing it on my other chart. But you can see how this all starts to get really, really narrow, really, really focused in. And I can even go more focused, which is what I do for my signals. I just drop it down one more, and you're going to get, you learn this shit, and I guarantee you your trading will improve dramatically. And you won't, you can use me for confirmation, but you don't need to use me to actually find these bands for yourself. And let me just get rid of these so I don't confuse myself here. That one can stay. All right, guys, if you haven't, please hit like on the stream. I will repost this video into my Discord, and I will, as the results happen throughout the day, I'll pop them in Discord as well. Discord's free to join, so there's a link in there below. Again, if you want my weekly bands and tradable levels, if you want that report on Sunday, Sunday's the best levels that I have, the best bands, because those are going to be volume that's been sitting there and just waiting to get tapped into, that meet every single one of my requirements. Some weeks you see more, some weeks you see less. Why would you see less? Well, exactly from what we were talking about earlier. You get sometimes market on the bigger time frame that is very balanced. When it's very balanced, we don't have a lot of bands. When we have a lot of price action, a lot of impulsive moves, we get more bands. So on my website, robstrades.com, you can request my weekly email on every single Sunday. It's free. If you want to join the signal service or my volume masterclass, you can go to robstrades.com. There's a link in there for that as well. Wishing you guys all the best and happy trading, guys.